This is the 17th season of Bass Talk Live with your hosts, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrat. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Bass Cat Boats, APCO, Ducket Fishing, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, Exo Lures, Yamagatsu, The Bass Tank, and Denali Rods. BTL coming at you. Good Monday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Man, you talk about some snow.
Everywhere but here.
Texas just got hammered, Matthew.
I saw that. How does that work? Is there like a jet? You're the weather guy. Is there like a jet stream or something that goes north? Because obviously I'm up in Tulsa, which is further north, and we don't have any snow. But Alabama's got snow. Texas has snow. Louisiana has snow. But there's none up in that Ozark region. A jet stream trough. Okay.
All right. And it didn't push up from all the Gulf moisture up into Oklahoma. It stayed in Texas, and Texas absolutely got hammered. Hence, that is the reason that I'm about to say we have to wait 1 week for Kevin Vandam. Folks, I apologize, but Kevin called me last night. He was in Texas. What was that?
That was my phone. I apologize.
He was in Texas.
A rookie move.
And he was unable to come on the show due to the fact that he was delayed in his travel. And he was actually practicing because of the snowstorm. So here's what we have lined up, folks. Kevin Vandam's going to get moved.
So wait. A guy from Michigan has to postpone the show because he got stuck in a snowstorm in Texas.
He told me they have more snow in Texas than they did at his home in Kalamazoo.
And 2021's off to a weird start, Mark, I'm telling you.
So here's what we're going to do. Kevin is rebooked for next Monday. Then I had the man, Ken Duke, scheduled for next Monday. He is going to get bumped 1 week to the following Monday.
Okay,
so next week we're going to have Kevin Vandam, we're going to have Jason Christie, and we're going to have Carl on next week. Yakins.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
It's going to go Kevin. Next week, Kevin, Christy, and Carl.
I don't know if I'll be available next Tuesday. I think something came. No, I'm just kidding. I'll have to face Christy and
all right. So Kevin apologizes. My apologies, but it's just one of those things that doesn't happen that often. But we have him rebooked for next Monday. So today, some sad news coming out of Texas over the weekend. Somebody who was a very influential person in bass fishing in North Texas, specifically around Lake Fork.
He's an icon.
He is.
He's been there for over 35 years.
Yeah. Mark Pack passed away due to complications from COVID, and he was an incredible person. I remember the first time that I met him, and he actually took me by the store where he had all of his tackle at the time, and it was my first experience with a bait that I used over and over and over and over. Any idea what that was?
We talked ring fry.
Yeah, the Lake Fork ring fry in chartreuse pepper. And that was a Carolina rigging piece of work right there.
That was right up your alley.
Yeah. So, our thoughts are with the Pack family, and he had many, many, many friends. Not only in the North Texas area, but really all across this country. So today we're going to have three people on just to talk a little bit about their memories about Mark Pack. We're going to have Tom Reddington on, who roomed with him
when he first started out on tour. I think he was Lake Fork Lures back in the day, or was one of Tom's first sponsors, kind of knew Mark. Tom guided on Fork for 10 years. Like I said, there's a number of different guys, Lance Vick, that you could have on that Mark impacted. And I've read a bunch of articles about him, basically the cutthroat guiding down there on Lake Fork over the years, and like kind of above it all, like Mark Pack was kind of the guy who was cool with everybody down there, knew a lot. So we'll have Tom Reddington on, and then also James Niggemeyer, who's guided on Lake Fork, been down there, very influential in the start of James's career as well, and then maintained that friendship through the years. Just to kind of talk a little bit about what he meant to that area, to fishing, and to them personally, and then also in the second half. Yeah, and then the final guest we're going to have on today, we're going to have Kelly Jordan on. Kelly and Mark, they were tight. They go way, way, way back, and I know there are some very cherished memories that Kelly has with his good friend Mark Pack. So today, what were you going to say? I just say, it's a kind of a Mark Pack. We did kind of the same thing with Ken Cook. Remember, after Ken Cook passed away, and had Alan McGuck and a couple of guys in the studio, Gary Judici in the studio, to kind of talk about his legacy. Mark Pack wouldn't know me at all if I walked in, but I knew him, and it stuck out with me. And what we like to talk about in fishing is the weird off the wall patterns, and everyone loves to talk about the picnic table and parking lot patterns. I mean, and Mark Pack is one of the guys who has won a tour event on that pattern. And that would have been in May of 2008. Now, I graduated in May of 2008, and that was the first year I covered the FLW Tour that year as well, and that was one of the first tournaments that you sent me to there in Rogers, Arkansas, where Mark Pack was flipping picnic tables and parking lots and riprafs, and I'm actually on the article reading about it, kind of remembering watching him flipping those trash mats with the baits that he had designed, the M-Pack, the Lake Fork, the Hyper Freaks. Remember, it had all the paddle tails and stuff. So I remember interviewing him and watching him the final 2 days get through all these logs and laydowns and stuff to get up to the picnic tables and the grills and the pavilions and all sorts of. So that really kind of stuck with me as one of the first, I guess, really kind of cool tournaments. What year was that? I covered. That would have been 2008. That's right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, the guy won. He wasn't. He kind of stopped tournament fishing after 2010. But he fished in the Bassmaster Classic, the one that Woo Daves won up there in Lake Michigan. A couple Forest Wood Cups to his resume, and over a decade, about a decade right there on the FLW Tour. But hadn't really tournament fished since 2010. So about a 20-year hiatus, but still very influential in the industry. Yeah. Good dude, man. Hate to see him go to a better place. So we'll have those gentlemen on to talk a little bit about Mark's life and some of the memories that they have with Mark. All right. How happy do you think that Frank Scalish is this morning? I'm assuming you're regarding the 28-point output in the first quarter for the Cleveland Browns. Baker Mayfield. Oh, my gosh. Oklahoma Sooner alum headed to, they got to go face the Chiefs next week, but they got through the Steelers. It was pretty entertaining, man. No coach, none of their top players. Dude, there were players in the locker room that hadn't even met Baker Mayfield. They were like, hey, he had to go up to him like one of his offensive linemen. Hey, man, nice to meet you, Baker Mayfield. Hey, let's go get a win today. Yep. How crazy is that? That was a wild game. So we will talk to Frank on Thursday. I'm sure he is just living it up in Cleveland right now. All right, man. You know me, if you're a fan of this show and you've been watching for quite some time now, I am a fan of the documentary. Am I not, Matthew? Yes. There was a documentary that debuted last night on HBO. Any idea what it was? Yeah, I hear it's getting mixed reviews. It's the Tiger documentary. Dude, there was some stuff in that documentary that I had no idea. I was just like, wow. Golf World isn't very thrilled with it. Wow. Earl Woods? What a scumbag. His dad? According to this documentary. Gosh. Based upon... Dude, wait, have you seen it? Did you watch it at all? No, I've not seen it. I don't know if I will. I mean, you read the reviews of it from the guys who golf, and they're like, this is not exactly the direction it needed to go in. Yeah. I'm sure at some point it will. Yeah. So, anyway, folks, I was... Not the same thing as The Last Dance? Last Dance was better. All right, this is a 2-part documentary.
Yeah, we still have part number 2. So it's just, there was some crazy stuff. All right, the big news over the weekend actually happened, when was it? Thursday after the show or Friday? We said this was coming. What did I say weeks ago, Matthew?
Yeah, that it would be very difficult to have the Bassmaster Classic in March as scheduled with an expo based on how much Bassmaster relies on the expo and the revenue that it brings in for them.
This is big news from an aspect that, yes, it affects a lot of people. I think it was the right move. But if anybody out there thought that this wasn't going to happen, I think you're living under a rock, because there were 2 factors in this decision that played a major role in the decision to flip with the Pickwick event, because that's basically what they did. One was the concern of the fans, the people. I think that was the number one consideration. And people can look at the screen right now and say, Jeffries, you're out of your mind. The number one consideration was money. No, that was number 2. All right, because this thing generates an enormous amount of money for the organization. But I truly believe, based upon the people that I've spoken with and based upon what I know, this move was done for the safety and the consideration of how impactful this COVID-19 situation is.
I could agree. Bruce Aiken said, it is our hope that this delay will allow us to alleviate many of the challenges, including any potential capacity restrictions and travel complications related to hosting both the tournament and outdoor expo in the current pandemic environment. We're looking forward to seeing thousands of fans along with our partners and industry friends at the 51st Bassmaster Classic. So it's a summertime classic in Texas.
Oh, I'm fired up, man.
It's going to be hot.
Not necessarily. It's June. I mean, yeah, maybe.
Well, it'll be hotter than it would have been in March.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the fishing if they truly pull this thing off.
It'll be awesome. I would imagine Keith Combs is even more upset now, because that would have even been more in his wheelhouse offshore in June in Texas. But
should we get him on the show?
It is what it is. But yeah, we kind of saw this coming, like you said. When we all went through, I said, I don't think you have the Classic without the Expo. It kind of goes hand in hand. Part of the Classic aura about it is the Expo and the people and the fans and pulling in and the smoke and the music. And yeah, it could have been done, but I think this is the right move.
I think it's the best move. I think they made a great decision. And you know what? It's really kind of hard to tell right now. I mean, yeah, it's 6 months away, but what are things going to be like building up until June?
Who knows? I don't think you
but
can
they had
hypothesize.
I think they definitely had to do what they did, and hands down the right decision. All right, some more stuff I want to touch on. Dude, it was a feast on Sunday on FS2. Any idea what happened?
A feast? No. Was it
it's
bowling?
the first time this has happened.
Fishing reruns?
Well, they had fishing, and then following the fishing, they had bowling. And this was like for 12 hours.
Just bowling, fishing, bowling, fishing,
no,
bowling,
no.
fishing.
It was fishing, bowling. For 12 hours on FS2. Now, I don't know how many people have FS2, but it was pretty cool. And you know me, I'm all about the other stuff that's taking place behind the scenes.
Right.
The commercials that were being ran during the look back at some of the events, including they looked back at some of the events from 2019 on FS2. They were running bass fishing commercials.
Interesting.
All right?
Current bass fishing
commercials. So the tie-in and the relationship between Bass and Fox Sports, obviously Fox Sports, they have skin in the game because there were other commercials that were being ran besides fishing commercials. All right? This is where I think, we didn't see it over at ESPN that much, maybe a little bit in the beginning when the purchase was first made, but the relationship and the opportunity for non-endemics to get involved because of the placement and the advertisement of non-endemics on the media outlet that is airing the bass information and the bass events, obviously, We'll see what happens on that. But it was cool, man. It was like 12 hours of nothing but fishing and bowling on FS2.
Exciting.
On Tuesday, all right, we are going to have another special guest. Do you know about this? I think I mentioned this to you. The Bass Tank.
Yeah, you didn't say who, though. You just said it was a special guest before. You didn't
Who do you think it's going to be?
It's John Sukup from the Bass Tank.
That is correct.
Is he going to have... I think he might come bearing some giveaway gifts.
I think so. I think so. But he caught almost a 10-pounder?
Yeah. Is he going to talk a little bit about his first impressions with the new active target?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. I mean, he sells it all. But this particular experience that he had catching this 10-pounder... it might have been a 9.5.
He's caught multiples lately.
Yeah.
He's dialed in.
He's going to come on and he's going to talk about the latest in forward.
Is he going to be in studio?
I'm not sure yet.
Well, I think so. If he's going to bring the hats down, maybe.
I don't know.
I think he's playing.
He has not confirmed that. So we will look forward to his presence in discussing the new product from Lowrance and the success that he has had on it already, along with Trevor McKinney, who...
College angler.
Well, he's been at all, dude. High school All-American, collegiate All-American.
It's a pretty clear path to me.
Yeah. Now, he's in the Bassmaster Classic.
In June. See how we tie that together.
Amongst the trees.
You want to tie something even further together.
Yeah.
I was perusing the news. And obviously, we have John on. He's at the forefront of technology. I have found the next frontier, and we have to get to this quickly because we've got some guests.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't see what the Indonesian fisherman caught the other day?
I did not. No,
you did not?
I missed out on that one.
A fisherman in Indonesia I don't know how to pronounce his name, recently brought in a very different kind of haul. And this is where the next frontier is going, Mark. This is, we got forward-facing technology. You go to a launch and stuff, and now there's 8 drones flying, getting the slow-mo shots.
Yeah.
Catching what appears to be a Chinese underwater drone.
What?
At least 2 other very similar, if not identical, ocean glider type unnamed undersea vehicles have been found in Indonesian waters in the past 2 years, raising questions as to whether the Chinese government is discreetly conducting underwater surveys for routes between the South China Sea and Indian Ocean. Information that could be especially useful if its submarines are moving through those areas.
Interesting.
So I was thinking, that's got to be the next thing.
Imagine
going out on Lake Erie looking for glacial deposits and 20 foot of visibility, and just like you fly the drone overhead, you just put the underwater drone down. Now you don't have to drive around. Now you're not relying on side imaging. You've got a little looking aqua view camera there, and you're driving the drone around underwater, finding these schools of smallmouth, finding the grass edges, seeing where everything is underwater. I mean, at some point, a personal drone above water was a pipe dream, right?
Yeah.
Now it'll get to where you just drop your drone in the water and drive it around on the ledges, Kentucky Lake ledges, Pickwick ledges, find where the shell beds, all that is.
There you
got a half-mile radius. You've got a little screen that shows where your drone is. That's where we're headed, Mark.
All right.
I predict within 5 years, there will be an underwater fish-finding drone to where you can go out on the water, drop it down.
Well, it already exists. Have you not seen it? Oh, yeah. It exists already.
But I'm saying this will... what do you mean? You've
it
seen
exists,
it?
Yeah.
Where you take it underwater and it records and it shows you live what's underwater?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think this will transition into the fishing world. We're seeing how much important the aqua views are becoming. You got guys like... who's that guy whose team finished second place in the world junior? Oh, Gustafson up there in Canada.
Yeah.
Got beat by the U.S. 2-0.
Yeah. Reminder.
Yeah, a reminder there. Anyway, he's got a big aqua view. The guys are using the aqua views. Everyone's got a drone above water, forward-facing sonar with everything. The next logical step is underwater drone.
Yeah.
Imagine you then have footage on Fox. Hey, man, can I drop the drone down if I stay 50 feet away? You think it'll affect your school? Now you've got live underwater footage of guys fishing.
You've got another show of us arguing about whether or not this should be in professional fishing.
Anyway.
Is what you have. All right, real quick, a couple other things. I did reach out because there have been numerous requests to find out what's going on with White River Marine and their recent, disbandment of their pro staff when the fishing boat industry really flourished in 2020.
Right.
I did reach out to their PR agency, and I am awaiting an answer on whether or not somebody from White River Marine will come on this show and discuss the situation with the pro staff. So, folks, all I can do is reach out, go through the proper channels, and see if they would come on the show and discuss what the situation is. Hopefully they will. But if they don't, I will let everybody know. No, they declined the interview right here on BTL to discuss that situation. So that's what I did, Matt. Reached out to the right person, and they are getting with White River Marine, and then we will find out whether or not they will come on the show. All right, two more things real quick. I have received a zillion emails, and I am way behind, so I want everybody to know I am really going to work the next 3 days to try and catch up on my emails and get back to everybody that has sent emails in. It was a long weekend. We had 3 days, 3 games. Lost in the championship game on Saturday to a rival that man, I'm like, ever since I left that school, dude, I'm 0-6 now. Can't beat them.
It's not good.
Can't beat them. I don't know what the deal is. I guess I'm doing something wrong. But hopefully they're actually in our next tournament, which is in 2 weeks in Purcell. Have no idea whether or not we'll get seeded to play them the way the bracket gets set up. But yeah, man, I'm 0-6. I don't know what to do on that. And then finally, on Wednesday, the form on basszone.com, for all those people out there that have signed up to be a marshal, if you've been listening to the show, I'm going to cover 2 people. I'm going to cover your marshal fee and have you come on the show and talk about that experience. So all you're going to have to do, fill out the form. You'll see the link that will appear on basszone.com here on Wednesday. Fill out the link. The link and the information automatically gets routed to me, and then we will select a couple people to come on the show and get a free entry into the Marshall program on whatever event that they want to use it for. So basically, they've already paid for it, and I'm just reimbursing them.
That's very nice of you.
All right. Kind of my gift to the Marshals. I think that's all I got, man.
We're going to come back,
long list
talk to James Niggemeyer about Mark Pack in that area. As we go to commercial, I just have to read the winning pattern of Mark Pack in May of 2008 on Beaver Lake. About his primary area, Pack noted it was a flooded park. It had a nice gravel flat, which was the parking lot, and a little break line at the edge of the park, which dropped from 2 to 5 feet, which was the riprap bank during normal water level. The fish were holding on that break line, and I knew it was there just from the past years when the water was at the normal level. And then he goes on to talk about how he figured out how the fish moved about the park and how he was able to target them.
That's pretty cool. That's cool. All right, man, we're going to miss him. Everybody, hope everybody's staying warm out there. It's kind of chilly this Monday across the nation. All right, everybody, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
New active target by Lowrance.
It exceeded any and all expectations I had.
It really opened up my eyes to things that I never knew happened.
I'm not sure what kind of voodoo they've included in the software, but it's incredibly impressive.
He was messing around, just pitched a little crappie jig in there, and all of a sudden you see the jig come right down in there, and you see the fish come to it. I mean, it was like that.
It's just a complete different universe that we're taking this fishing to. There's no bass safe out there.
Active target by Lowrance. Game on.
BassCat's legendary 20-foot platform has been paired with angler-approved accessories for 2021. Puma FTD features the proven hull used by many of the top names in bass fishing today, backed by a transferable lifetime warranty. The Puma FTD boasts a full team deck concept which enhances efficiency for you and your tournament partners. Turnkey tournament-winning performance. The Puma FTD SP from BassCat.
While
I travel the country on the Bassmaster Elite Series, I simply can't let the weather be the reason I don't win $100,000. That's why I use AFCO clothing to keep me warm, dry, and protected from whatever Mother Nature wants to throw at me. My season depends on it. My career depends on it. AFCO. Any fish, any water.
Hey everyone, Brandon Polnick here. People always be asking me what I got tied on. And I'm like, X-Zone Lures. And they're like, Brandon, why you got X-Zone Lures tied on? And I'm like, let me show you why. The bite. Get out of there. Get out of there. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's freaking digging. Get in here. Oh, God. Giant. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I think you get the point.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
You've been waiting all week for this, and Sunline wants to make sure you're ready for it with bulk spools of all your favorite fishing lines.
Oh, it's so fun.
Bulk up with Sunline.
All right, we are back on a Monday, kicking off the week. And in case you're just tuning in, Kevin Vandam has been booked for next Monday.
He's stuck in a snowstorm in Texas.
Yeah. So we will have Kevin on next Monday, and then 2 weeks from today, we will have Ken Duke on. So check out basshone.com for all the schedule of the next couple of weeks on BTL right now. All right, everybody, we are going to go to a special guest. We're going to go to James Nigmeier, and let me bring him in here. James, you there, man?
I'm here.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing well, man. Greatly appreciate you taking time out. I know a lot of people across the North Texas area and across the nation are saddened by the passing of Mark Pack, and I know Mark was a very special friend to you.
Yes, absolutely. I met him for the first time when I moved out here in 2001 when I left California, packed everything into my Chevy Astro van and had an 18-foot bass boat. Really had no place to go, and thought I was going to just jump into the guide scene, and it didn't work out like that. And he and his wife hired me to help them with their business, which was Lake Fork Tackle, and they had a retail store alongside the wholesale, and really just kind of took me in as a family member. I mean, they just really. If it wasn't for them, I would have had to go home.
What year was that? Then you said, and then you worked in his tackle store for a number of years.
2001 is when they hired me. Well, it's when I moved. I moved out here in February, and I think by March, I wasn't going to have enough guide trips, so I was like, I've got to have some sort of additional income, and so they hired me to work the tackle store, and then later on in the wholesale side. So I was, packaging orders for everything, every big box store that they had on account, and so that just I kind of came into the fold and started doing all kinds of stuff. So it was just it was thrown into the whole mix. I was just looking for a part-time job to kind of pay the bills and get by, and it ended up turning out into something bigger. And Mark and Donna Pack are just, up until that point, I really, if you had a need and they could meet it, they would do what they could to help you. Donna is obviously still alive. don't want to talk about her in past tense, but they're just people that would do whatever they could to help anybody. They're just big-hearted people, and made a super huge impression on me very quickly.
Did you get to spend a lot of time on the water with Mark in those earlier years when you first moved down?
No, I didn't. I fished with him a couple times because he was fishing the FLW Tour, and I was fishing the Bass Invitationals when I left the West Coast. And then when I got here, I started fishing some of them. We, I think, fished one division of the Central Opens together, just like one fall. I think it was like 2002, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just saw him. He was always, obviously he was on tour, so he was gone a lot. And the times I did see him, though we did spend time in the office, and he was always tinkering, innovative to the core. I mean, he was always trying to invent a better mousetrap. Obviously, probably the first one that I can think of that ever invented, or not invented, but made tungsten weights kind of a normal thing to want to have as a bass fisherman. And then to my knowledge, he was the first one ever to have a tungsten jig, skirted jig. And he was just always thinking, and super bright, just really was kind of thought outside the box. Fishing with him he had just kind of a different approach to things. And obviously the uncounted number of just giant bass that he put people on over the years. And of course his tournament record speaks to that.
The guide scene down there at Lake Fork, and I alluded a little bit to this kind of leading up to this, there's a lot of guys who guide down there. Just kind of talk a little bit, and you've done a little guide. You've guided on Lake Fork too, so you still guide on Lake Fork, and we'll talk to Tom about this next too. But where did he kind of fit into that scene as far as overall in the guide? Because everyone I talked to was like, man, this is the guy down here, one of the guys, the original guys who kind of got along with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. He was kind of the OG of Lake Fork guides, and when I got to Texas, he really wasn't guiding at all anymore. He was in the throes of his business and fishing the tour. He wasn't really guiding at all anymore. He'd have a friend that'd come out and he'd take him fishing, whatever like that. But for the most part, he was done with guiding. And then as he transitioned away from the fishing lure business, he started guiding again. By that time, I was on tour. But like as far as just the numbers of just giant bass that he put people, the stories he had kind of before I got there. When I got there, it was just after the largemouth bass virus. Fishing on Lake Fork was tougher, a lot tougher than it had been. Just getting, a number of bites a day was really tough, as it was anywhere in the country that had the largemouth bass virus. But Mark Pack was, he was one of the kind of like Lake Fork bass guide royalty, so to speak. There's several of them, that come to mind. But he took so many guys under his wing too. Kelly Jordan, Lance Vick, myself, Tom Reddington. I mean, just like he was always wanting to help everybody. And really, he was like one of the first guys that was like a bass fisherman that really didn't have like quote unquote secrets that I could remember. Like if he had something that worked he was like, dude, you got to go here, throw this. Like he was really wanting to see everybody catch him.
Wow. Favorite memory with Mark?
Favorite memory with Mark. You know what? Favorite memories with Mark was we would go to lunch, and this sounds just so kind of trivial, but we would go to lunch, on days when he was in the office and not on tour and stuff like that, and just hanging out with him. Loved to just cut up, and he's always got jokes. It's just always having a good time, making fun, and he's poking fun at you. And just all like that. But one of the times we cut out, I think, at lunch, and Donald wasn't very happy. We had a bunch of work to do, but he's like, hey, let's go fishing. So we head out to the lake. I hook up my boat. We head out to the lake, and we get out there on one of the structure spots, and we're catching them. I mean, and of course, he's whooping me. And then he goes set the hook on one of my rods, and the reel pops off. He's like, what kind of equipment you got here? And he would just rail you, but he's all in love and all in fun. But that afternoon was kind of a special one for me because, I didn't get to fish with him that often. Every once in a while I got to. But that's because, while I was there to work and he had lots of things, but probably when they opened their house to me, when I had no place to go, there was a point there where I was between places, and really, at my point, there wasn't really many places to rent. And the point in time when I was around Lake Fork and trying to cut in and guide and everything like that, get into the business and everything. And Mark and Donald were just like, "Oh, you just come and stay at our house." And I was like, "Wow," and just hanging out with them, kind of like family. And watching TV in the evenings, they just took me in.
Wow, great dude, man, and he cared about everybody that he was around too. I don't think Mark had any enemies anywhere.
No, you couldn't hate a guy like. I mean, everyone loved him. He's just big-hearted guy, always fun to be around, and he wouldn't. And he'd call you on the carpet when you needed to. You know what I mean? He'd be like, he'd just be like, "Hey, what's this?" And that's awesome. I love that realness that was just such a big part of who he was.
All right, James, man, greatly appreciate you taking time out. You ready for 2021, man?
I just got my boat, Wednesday and Thursday. And it's in the garage. Literally, there's like 2 to 3 inches of snow everywhere in the trees. It's like winter wonderland here. I need to get it wrapped. I need to get electronics on it. I need to break it in. I'm not what you would call ready, but I fishing is something that I need to get after here. I want to get out there on the water. It's been a while.
All right. Actually, we were supposed to have Kevin Vandam on the show today, and he's actually down in Texas. He said that you guys have received more snow in east and northern Texas than he has back in Michigan.
See, I don't know what he's got in Michigan, but this is probably more snow than the last 3 years in a row.
Wow.
I mean, we usually get about a day of snow and it never sticks. It's stuck. I mean, actually, I just had a big chunk, a sliver of it, I should say, probably come off the roof right now. It's just all in the trees. It looks like, somewhere in the Northeast.
Wow.
Or way I would imagine it anyways.
Yeah. All right, man. Wish you the best in 2021, and take care, man. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you for having me.
All right, man. See you.
See you guys.
All right. Yeah, man, that snow down there is quite interesting.
Yeah, I know a little bit about James's history, kind of getting into the industry. We need to have him back on to tell that story. It's very interesting. He actually, and I don't want to butcher it, but he basically ran into Dean Rojas. He was out in California where he lived. He went up to Rojas at an outdoor expo where Rojas was doing a demo on a hog trough, and he was like, "Man, I want to be a pro fisherman. What do I need to do?" And that was right after early 2000s when Rojas had moved to Texas for a while, and he's like, "You need to get out of California and get around." And that's when James packed up the Astrovan and went to Texas. And then met Mark Pack through that too, so dedicated.
All right, I'm going to try to get Tom on the line now. Let's see if we can. We could have taken a break, but I thought, no, man, let's just.
Well, this Tom?
Hey, Tom, it's Mark and Matt on BTL. How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing well, man. Appreciate you taking time out. I thought it would be very cool to get you on the show and just kind of share some of your memories that you have with Mark. Obviously, everybody missing Mark with the passing of Mark over the weekend, but just a tremendous human being. And what are some of the memories that you have with Mark?
Well, when I started out on the tour, Mark kind of took me under his wing and let me room with him. I mean, I was green as they came, and he had helped me out guiding a little bit. But he picked up my lodging and said, "Man, we're gonna room with this guy. We've been staying at the same place all the time. We finally decided, why don't we just room together?" And he's paying for lodging, so I'm like, sure. Well, that guy, quote unquote, was Scott Martin. So that's how the three of us roomed for 2 years together. And as a rookie, I mean, it was quite an experience. Mark really helped me out during those first years, getting on fish and all that. And those two going back and forth at each other, and Mark always cutting up. I mean, it was a blast.
I've read a a lot of things about it over the past couple days, and obviously in the industry covering a lot of tournaments. He hadn't obviously been active in tournament fishing for the past 15, 20 years, but he kind of went about it a unique way. Big offshore structure, jig, worm guy, and seemed to be able to find fish before all the fancy electronics that we have now, but really good at that offshore game, right?
Yeah, he was one of the guys when the paper graphs were out there. He was one of the first ones really dialing that in. But when I would go fishing with him, that's how I learned a lot of that. Just with the traditional 2D sonar, you could see a big school. You could see a lot of fish. Mark was one of the first guys that I ever saw that would see the ones that were tucked in real tight to the bottom, or like single fish, and he would actually fish for some of those singles. But it took a lot of interpretation back then to figure out, especially on the paper graphs are really good. You went to the original 2D, then just the pixel count wasn't as good. And Mark was, he was always looking offshore. It didn't matter. It was a shallow, muddy lake. He was always looking for the outside stuff. And he was one of the guys that was really at the forefront. And he helped a lot of the guys that came through Texas. Mark was one of the guys that showed them how to find fish on the graph and catch them. And that was before everybody was doing it like now. There was, not very good GPS. You could mark a waypoint after a while, but no maps. And he would just troll around out there till he found it and have them all to himself.
So that would have been, 2009, 2010 with Scott. Now, you guys still filmed with Mark and did a lot of stuff with him even a decade later through the Scott Martin Challenge and all that stuff, right? You were involved in a lot of those shows, so you obviously kept your relationship with Mark, up through recent times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and Mark was, once he stopped fishing the tour, he was great about if you wanted to ask about lakes and bounce ideas off him, or he would sit down with you and talk about the latest fishing techniques. There were a number of times, if the deal with Mark, you go fishing on Fork and you would learn more stuff. He would just kind of remember. He'd hop in your boat. He would remember more spots. Like, man, let's just go over here. I caught him one time, and he knew that lake as well as anybody. So for a deal of buying him breakfast and getting a trip in there and learning more about your graphs and playing around with spots, I would fish it with him a number of times. And every time he would learn new spots and learn how to read your graph just a little bit better.
He's on the Mount Rushmore of Lake Fork guys, right? If you were to take the top 5 guys of Lake Fork of all time, would you put him on that top 10?
Oh, for sure. He was one of those first guys, and there were a number of good guys out there, but Mark came in and figured the lake out, and he found a lot of that stuff, some of that offshore structure that everybody calls community holes now. Those were Mark Pack spots. And he would hop in your boat, and you would go to those, and there was no GPS or anything to go to the waypoint. He had like this sixth sense of, he said it's just right over here. You just point over there, and you go over, and you're like, should start coming up about right now. And there was no tree or anything you go by. All of a sudden, your graph just starts coming up. And somewhere were main humps and stuff and big 10, 15-foot drop-offs, but other stuff was just little 2-foot humps. And he kind of really clued me into the fact that how subtle some of this structure is that has fish on it. He was definitely ahead of the game. And at Fork, a lot of the guys, the lineage, some of these great fishermen, like Lance Vick, who fished both the Bass and FLW Tour, he helped, he was in the grocery business. He helped Lance get in there, and he was friends with Kelly Jordan. They worked together a lot. A lot of these guys, Texas legends, Mark either helped them get into guiding, or, they were friends with him and worked together.
Tom, do you think Mark just enjoyed building baits and working with his tackle company and then guiding and just kind of hanging out a little bit? Do you think he enjoyed that a lot more than tournament fishing? Hence, that's why he got to the point where he was going to focus more on stuff going around at home. What are your insights on that?
Yeah, Mark, he loved the tournaments and was good at it. The guiding, he would have a blast doing that, taking guide customers, putting people on fish. He was kind of a tinkerer. Really came about it unconventionally. The way he would fish, he would fish like a Carolina rig and snap it, almost like stroke it. I've never seen anybody else do that. He'll do like a jig or a worm, it could be cold water, hot water. He was always kind of snapping it and had a unique little retrieve. But he just came about things differently, and he was definitely a tinkerer. I was selling my boat yesterday and telling the guy, I was showing him how to put the boat cover on, and I was always really anal about, you put the boat cover straps on flat, right? They have to be flat and neat and everything. And Mark was helping me one day put it on, and he said, why are you putting on those straight? He said, they're going to flap. And I said, what? He's like, yeah, they always flap. He said, no, you just put a half twist in your boat cover strap, and it won't flap. And I thought he was full of it, and I let him do it, and then sure enough, go down the road, and it did. And he was the same way with baits and rods, and he was always tweaking hooks and Bondo, or not, but like JB welding little barbs on. Like before rebarb hooks, he was making his own little rebarb hooks. He was definitely a tinkerer, and he liked the bait part of it and the personal part of it as much as catching fish. But he was one heck of a tournament fisherman. I mean, he won at, I believe it was Pickwick. You know, he has that legendary win on Beaver Lake. But when he was out there, he was all jokes and goofing around. But Mark was, all these guys say, I'm fishing for a win, I'm fishing for a win. Mark was literally, he didn't care about catching a limit, getting points, all that stuff. He was always looking for that offshore spot where he could win it. And when he connected, he did damage.
That he did. All right, Tom, man, we appreciate you taking time out to share a few memories about Mark on today's show.
My pleasure. I mean, the guy he was so much fun. And one quick story, just when he had a one-liner for everything, but the funnest thing that always made me laugh, every time we go to dinner with Scott, he would always he would wait until Scott was about ready to eat, and of course they'd see the fishing gear, and they would always say, somebody would start up a conversation like, "Hey, you in town for the fishing?" Yeah. So Mark would he would nudge me under the table, and he'd say, "Well, you know what this is, right?" He said, "Well, this is rolling, son." So of course Scott would get in this long conversation. He wouldn't be able to eat. Mark's eating down his food. Well, that bit got old. So after a while, he would nudge me and he'd say, "You know who this is, right? This is Bill Jansen's son." So then he had a longer conversation. No. And then finally, at the end of it, Scott would get so mad because every time, right before he's ready to eat that nice steak, and he would nudge me and he'd say, "You know who this is, right? You know pro wrestling? This is Ric Flair's son." So then he had to. But Mark was always a one-liner, and it didn't matter if he tanked or anything, or if he won the tournament. Always fun, and that's anybody that fished with him will have a Mark Pack story that he touched a lot of guys' lives, and he just made a lot of fishing days a lot more fun. So we really miss him, and most of us in Texas, in one way or another, owe a lot to him in our fishing careers.
All right, well said. We, once again, man, appreciate you taking time out, and he will be missed, man, but wish you the best in 2021.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Appreciate you having me on.
Take care, man.
All right, see ya.
All right, see ya. Oh, that last one, great story. And I could see Mark doing that. I mean, that is dead on his personality and what he did. All right, we're going to take a quick break and come back with Kelly Jordan.
I'm sure he's got some stories.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So stay tuned. We'll be right back here on a Monday.
Pro-inspired, pro-designed. Tested and proven by legends on the water. Dominating the tournament trail for over 50 years. Everything you need, one legendary brand. Strike King.
Hey guys, Major League Fishing Pro Jacob Wheeler here with my new Signature Series line of rods with Duck It Fishing. We have my 7.2 cranking rod right here. Crankbaits can be very fickle, and having the right, having a lot of tip can be too much, and having not enough tip can, lose a lot of fish. So you really got to be careful. If there's one or two techniques that I'm really adamant about having the perfect action is a crankbait, especially like a square bill, a DT6, those medium running crankbaits in the springtime when those fish's mouth are pretty tough. That's when I'm really on top of having my actions just perfect.
Big companies get bigger and bigger and talk about their fancy labs where they study fish behavior, but then they all go golfing on the weekend. We don't have a large laboratory to test baits. Why, you ask? We don't need a big laboratory because our pros fish, our employees fish, our salespeople fish, our suppliers fish, our mold builders fish, our owners fish, and our kids fish. This is our laboratory. Our R&D comes from time on the water, learning how to make fish bite. All that time on the water brings us thousands of hours of testing new products and improving current ones for all species.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks. Why? Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
All right, we are back on a Monday. It is time to go to our next guest as we remember Mark Pack on the show today. For those just tuning in, we have rescheduled Kevin Vandam to next Monday. He was unable to make it due to the snowstorm down in Texas. So we are remembering Mark Pack today on the show. Tomorrow, who do we have, Matt? Jeez, I went totally blank.
So did I.
Yeah, you're looking it up. I know we're going to have John Sukup on. He's going to talk about that.
Oh, we got Trevor McKinney on.
Oh, that's right. Trevor McKinney.
And then Greg Hackney on Wednesday, and then our second day 4 of the year. The first one was very well received with Frank Scalish.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's going to be fired up because of what went down in Pittsburgh last night. So anyway, let's bring in our next guest. Kelly, you there, man?
I'm here.
How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. How you doing, Mark?
Doing good, man. The first question is, did you build a snowman?
Yes, several. Several.
That's a ton of snow, man.
Yeah, we made one just for Matt Panger, too, and then it was pretty funny looking. So, I'm kidding. Hey, it'd be fun. I always have fun with you guys. But, no, we set them up, and then we did what kids love to do. I have a 7-year-old, 9-year-old. They knocked them down. So, all good.
All right, man. It was very sad news when we learned this past weekend that Mark Pack had passed away, and I know you were very, very close to him, and we thought it would be cool if we could get you on and you could share with Matt and myself and the fans some of the great memories that you have being around with Mark. So what's one of the memories that sticks out to you?
I have tons of memories, but probably my favorite memory of Mark was when I first started guiding with him back in like the mid '90s, and the fish I guess had just got into the grass. It was post spawn, probably late May, early June, and we were done with our guide trips for the day, and we, we're back at the ramp. He said, "Hey man, come fish with me for a minute. I found them." I said, "Okay." So we went out to a grass hydrilla back when Lake Fork used to have a lot of hydrilla, and started flipping hog craws through the grass. In about his third flip, he set the hook and reeled in and boat flipped an 11-pounder right in my lap.
Wow!
And looked at me and then smiled like, "Yeah, buddy."
Boat flipping 11
I'll never
pounders.
forget that.
Wow.
I hadn't even got out of my seat yet hardly, and he reeled it in, and just it it was amazing. That guy is one of the greatest fishermen I've ever met.
What made him so good?
Matt, that is the million-dollar question. What makes everybody catch fish? He just, he was one of those guys, that, if you make a living fishing, you better be, know how to catch them good. And he was, had the knack too. And when he got in his zone, it was, you better stand back and watch, because it was amazing to watch him catch them. So he had it. He had whatever that is.
Now, did you just guide at the same time as him? Did you guide with him, under him, together? Did he get you into it? How did that relationship work?
Yes, he got me into guiding. So I had known Mark for a long time from fishing at Lake Fork, and he's one of my heroes. He was like Mr. Lake Fork for a long time, along with several other, guides at Lake Fork, like Mark Stevenson, who caught Ethel, the state record, that lived in Bass Pro Shops forever. Bunch of great guys at Lake Fork, kind of the epicenter of bass fishing, especially in Texas, if not, a pretty bright spot in the country for sure back then. And when I went pro, I started fishing local pro tournaments in Texas. English Choice Pro-Ams was the first pro circuit I fished, and I got to know Mark some in that because I saw him a lot. And he one day he just said, "Hey man, why don't you move to Lake Fork and start guiding? I'll get you lots of trips, and it'd be really good for you if you're going to do this for a living." And so I decided to pack it all up and move to Lake Fork, and that was a big part in my doing this for a living, and just paying my dues, being a guide, and you learn so much fishing every day like that. And then I got to be around him, and guided for years and years and years, kept me with clients enough to pay the bills, keep the light on at my little apartment I had in the Lake Fork area. He showed me a lot about fishing. He's deep water offshore fishing guru, and Lake Fork is a very much of a structured lake, and he showed me everything, taught me everything I know about offshore fishing. It's amazing talents he had, and he shared freely with a lot of people, and I am especially one of them. And we talked a lot for years and years about what the fish were doing out deep, why they were there, how you catch them, this, that, and the other. And it was a huge part of my career and my success as a professional angler is the mentorship, I guess you could say, from Mark, and all the stuff techniques and just how to catch them, and in his specialty, what he was extra good at. And he, like I said, he really shared that with everybody. But it was, I can't say enough about that. It was huge.
Did he get you on the flutter spoon? Was that his deal, or was that your deal?
No. Big Joe at Lake Fork, he knows everybody. A spoon is a mainstay at Lake Fork, and always was, because again, it's a deep structure lake, and we fish spoons all wintertime. And Joe Spates,
okay,
it kind of tweaked with that, and he came out with that big flutter spoon and got us all on that, because everyone spoon fished so much. He just, I guess, said, I'm going to try with some really big spoons, and that's why the Big Joe spoon is the original big flutter spoon. So,
Kelly, can you explain the passion that Mark had for that tackle company from the beginning all the way through the process? Like when he came out with the ring fry, that was just an incredible bait that just caught on like wildfire. What was his passion for that bait company?
Yeah, so he's a fisherman. He's was an inventor, a tackle guy. He always was tweaking baits, designing baits. So then he started his company, Lake Fork Tackle, and he came out with an incredible amount of baits that just filled niches that weren't really there. Were open at the time when he was making baits, and stuff that was kind of already out there. He made big improvements to them, and he was always tinkering with the next great bait, the next, like the ring fry, the baby ring fry, the craw tube, which was an enhanced tube that everybody was flipping. I've won a few tour events flipping that, especially in matted grass. The Lake Fork Tackle Magic Shad, which is, and a lot of people don't know about it, but it is like one of my go-to soft plastic jerk baits. It's unbelievable. There's on and on and on. He was also the first company to come out with tungsten weights.
Yeah.
Mark Pack was. And, there's a lot of history there, and he was at the center of all that. And like I said, he had tremendous passion for fishing. He had a tremendous passion for tackle and designing baits. And he's to the very end, he always was tinkering with stuff in his office. And, I'd hear about, hey, man, check this out. He has this impact lures now, that he's had for a while, before he passed. And always been on that game. So, talk about a guy that's immersed in the sport of bass fishing. That's Mark Pack.
Even at the jigs that he did then, and then the plastics at the end when before he went to the impact jigs and impact lures. One of the last things with the Lake Fork was the hypertail stuff with the cuts it did, and the big tail and the vibration, which was unique. But then that jig trailer on the impact jig, I remember seeing that in the first, and I bought one just so I could open it up and see it because it was it was I don't even know how to describe it, but it was a weed guard on a jig, on a flipping jig or a football jig that was so out of the ordinary. I'd never seen anything like it. And he was the one who designed that.
Yes. In its design, it's that big, heavy monofilament line or whatever connected with a rubber band to the hook. And, like I said, he's always tweaking, and I have those. And he made those in his jigs and also his swim bait heads. And he designed it specifically for coming through cover, especially timber like what we have on Lake Fork. And it is an amazing system that he had, and I guess it's proprietary to his company. And that big piece of mono would roll over when you set the hook. And like I said, just another amazing little innovation that he came up with all by himself. And there you go. It's like I said, truly amazing. His mind was always engaged and always working in figuring something out and making something new and different.
Hey, a number of people on the instant feedback, Kelly, want to know, what do you think was the greatest Lake Fork tackle, bait, lure, whatever you want to call, ever made?
Ooh, well, there's so many. I love the crawl tube, love the creature bait, the magic shad. It's amazing. The live magic shad. That's everybody uses on the trailer for the chatterbait. That probably is the most selling one of all time, and I would say it would be a tie between that, the live magic shad, and the ring fry.
Yeah,
no doubt, the ring fry.
Were you with him when he won at Beaver back in 2008?
No, I was not at that event.
Okay.
I was not. I didn't fish I had fished the FLW for 6 years, and that year I think was the first or second year that because of conflicts of circuits, I wasn't able to fish. But no, it wasn't there. But what a victory that was! Back when the Walmart Open was $200,000 to win on Beaver Lake, and they had it on Beaver every year. And the lake was really high that year, and I remember him telling me his secret to winning in that was fishing submerged picnic tables.
See, everybody knows it. Everybody knows it.
Yeah,
that's the go-to.
Like, everybody's like, man, why didn't I think of that? Perfect.
Yeah. Do you remember what it was? Do you remember what it was like when he got back home? Did you guys get together at all?
Oh yeah, of course. We're just at Lake Fork and Lake Fork Marina is the epicenter of Lake Fork, I guess. And everybody meets up, and we all got to pat him on the back and swap stories. And we'd see him at Lake Fork Marina at Moser's Restaurant, which is Tiffany's now. But I think it's still called Tiffany's. But it's just a big community, and that was one of the things and still is one of the things about the Lake Fork area and the community of all the guides and all the people who have retired there. The people that come down seasonally or have, RVs in some of the places. It's just a huge family community. And, Mark was a huge part of that. So, that area, and the people that Lake Fork area, people that live there. And like I said, it's its own community. And, this is a huge, huge loss for the Lake Fork community.
You, You stayed in contact with him, and obviously he got COVID and kind of started going downhill in mid-December based on the reports that I've read. But you were in contact with him up until several days before his passing, right?
Yeah. I contacted him, and I back and forth, and I text him every morning. Starting in early January. December, when he first was in the hospital and really, really sick, and I heard he was really sick. And first he's like, "Yeah, man, hanging in there, whatever." And it got to where he wasn't as responsive because he was really sick, and I still would text him every morning and what have you. And then I got in touch, with the community. Donna his wife would send some updates, what have you. And about, I guess, 4 days ago now, 4 or 5 days ago, we talked. Donna had said, "Hey, if you want to send a message to Mark, send us a voice memo." So I did, and I know a lot of people did as well. And then Donna, whatever with mine, she texted me. She said, "Hey, I don't know what I did, but I was up here visiting him, and I somehow erased your voice memo." And so Colin will be up here at like 12 to 12:30. Well, I didn't see the text till like 12:45. So I missed it. And she goes, "Well, I'll be up there tomorrow." Or no, it was actually the same day. So that was about 12:45. And then about 2 o'clock, she texts back. She said, "Hey, I'm back up here now. If you'd like to call, I'll have the phone on. I'm with him." And that's when she said that the doctors had said he had hours to a couple days.
Wow.
And that was a pretty hard deal. So I called another friend of mine, and he said, "Man, I won't be able to call. I won't be able to hold it together." So I said, "Well, hey, I'll try to." And I'll call up there and talk to him. And so I did. And very glad that I got to do that. Donna put us on speakerphone, and Mark was, he was on the ventilator, incapacitated, but Donna, told me, and we talked about it. I'm sure he could hear us.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell him how much that is amazing, the outpouring of support that he received from the fishing community, and all of his friends were very, very concerned about him, and a lot of guys were posting big things on Facebook, and they had fundraisers, and it's awesome. Those guys did that and kept that out forefront, and just awareness and the outpouring of love and support for Mark and the family, Donna and Jason and Josh, was amazing. I told him about that and told him how much of his friendship is to me and in my life, and he's one of my best friends I've ever had. And I told him you got this, man, kick it. You're gonna have to beat this thing, and he didn't. But I got to tell him that we all loved him, and it was good. I probably talked to him for 10 or 15 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was hard,
Yeah.
as you can imagine.
Yeah.
But sure, I'm glad I got to talk to him, and it was hard, and Donna was there, and man, so tough.
Yeah.
Losing that. And then one of my friends that wasn't able to call or thought he wouldn't be able to, he ended up calling as well. So I don't know how many different friends called in, but I think quite a few did. And then he passed away the next day.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was, really tough. And so, what we're most concerned about now is, praying for and supporting Donna and the boys, Josh and Jason. How hard that is to lose their. Donna lost her husband and the kids lost their dad, and unexpected. I mean, boom, out of nowhere. Pretty good about a month ago, and then you got signs in the hospital. Oh, he's getting better. His oxygen concentration is getting better today, and then we'd get another update. Well, no, it's not doing so good today, and then it would get better again, and. Like I said, it was really, really hard to take. I still can't believe it hardly. I was sure he was going to pull through because he's a tough guy.
Yeah.
He knows how to, he's been in tough situations and always got out of, and been able to overcome and this one got him, and a tremendous loss to his friends, to the Lake Fork community, the fishing community, his family, and we're going to miss him greatly.
Yeah, very well said, Kelly. All right, on another subject, a couple other things real quick. Obviously, since we have you on the phone, what's Palestine going to be like for the event that's going to be there?
For the Red Crest?
Yeah.
Man, they ought to just kill them. It's, the weather could be bad, and the bite could be depressed, and be tough to get a lot of bites if it's really, really cold, or if we have a whole lot of rain that muddies the lake up really bad. But Palestine has always been on the team circuits forever, as long as I fished them. When I started fishing team tournaments back in the 30 years ago, Lake Palestine was always on the schedule in January or February. Why that was, I don't know, but I think one of the reasons is because they bit on Lake Palestine for whatever reason. It just sets up good for a cold water lake, early pre-spawn of a January and February lake, and it always would take huge bags to win. And if minimum of 25 pounds or so to win typically, and more often than not, it was in the 30s to win. And this was back. I remember the last team tournament that I fished on Lake Palestine was in 1996, I believe. And it was in February. And I think me and my partner had, 26 or 27 pounds, and we came in fourth.
Wow.
28, yeah. And I remember, the most thing that I remember about that was first and second were both 32 pounds. It was like 32 and a half and 32 3/4. So how would you like to have 32 pounds to come in second? But that's Lake Palestine. It's and it's even, it's gotten better and better and better as the years have gone by. I don't know. It's just an amazing lake. It's very dynamic. It has a shallow water, incredibly stump infested top end that eats boats for breakfast. Very treacherous. Several friends of mine, we talk about it, they say they're convinced that the stumps on Lake Palestine are petrified, meaning they're stone. So you got to be really careful. There's boat lane and stuff. If you get out of those, it's idle, man. And when I say idle, you better have your jack plate as high as it'll go and your motor trimmed out as far as it'll go. Because, matter of fact, I talked to Takahiro Omori. He was down here 2 weeks ago, and he had asked about where all the timber was, how do you get the boat lane chip? And I said, yeah, well, I think they sent out a memo. He said, yeah, man, I was just idling in 25 feet of water, and I hit a stump, didn't think any big deal, and he put his boat on the trailer, and his skeg was gone.
Oh, jeez.
So that being said, it's, we fish lots of lakes that have a lot of timber, but, this one does. It doesn't have marked boat lanes, so you better have this boat lane chip, and you still better be really careful.
Yeah.
But that's for the upper end, which plays a lot, and there's timber in the whole lake, but mainly the upper end. But the thing about Lake Palestine is the bottom end is usually a lot clearer, a lot more clear water, and then the lake has a whole lot of boat docks on it and a whole lot of seawalls, some rock here, some rock there, a lot of little shallow ridges that come out on the lake, a lot of bridges, a lot of backs of creeks that are stump infested, which I think kind of keeps the population, especially in the springtime. It's just, you kind of had to idle for 20 minutes to get back to some areas. There's no way to run to some of the areas.
Wow.
And that keeps the fishing good. So I think they're going to catch them really good. I can't tell you it's going to be one in the upper ends where they catch those huge bags, because you can catch a big bag on the main lake or the bottom end. It could be one on a swim bait and a jerk bait as easily as it could be one flipping a jig, or lipless crankbait, or a square bill, or a chatterbait type bait. It's going to be wide open. And if the water's high, which it typically is, there'll be a lot of flipping bushes. And if it gets warm, and the big movement of fish comes shallow, man, I don't know what kind of weights the total can be. It's an X factor, because there's never been an event like a Major League Fishing event on Palestine. But I'm pretty sure there's going to be some fish over 10 pounds caught. How about that?
Wow, that would be very cool.
There might be a bunch, and there might be. like I said, somebody could get dialed in and just, I mean, it has the fish are really, really, really healthy, and there's a lot of really big fish. And then there's a lot of numbers as well. So I think it's going to be a very surprising event to a lot of people. They're going to be amazed at what they catch.
All right, cool. Matt, you have anything else for Kelly?
No.
Matt,
What have you been up to, man? You've been doing offshore stuff. You've been bluegill fishing in the pond. You've been getting ready for the year. What have you been up to?
I have been fishing. I've been doing a lot of crappie fishing. I've been doing some bass fishing. I filmed in the last month. I filmed 2 episodes of YouTube on Lucky Craft USA. Go there and look at them. I did a jerkbait show and a lipless crankbait show. A lot of fun. I'm going to be starting to do those. I'm going to try to get in at least 2 or 3 a month. That's the plan right now, if not 4 a month. So that's kind of a new project I'm doing. Doing some YouTube filming, and that's been a lot of fun. Fortunate to catch some fish for these shows in December, and had fun. Caught some really nice fish. Didn't catch any great big ones, but caught some really nice fish. Like I said, crappie fishing, and just getting all the boat stuff ready for next year coming up. So pretty exciting. It's been snowing here. We got snow on the ground right here at. And I live right by Lake Palestine, actually just south of Tyler, and really, really cold. So I'm about ready for the water to warm up too. I'm not much of a cold water person, but it's coming soon, man. It's it's about to, we're in January now, so February will be here before you know it. Tournament season starts kicking off then, and then we kick off the Bass Pro Tour. Can't wait for that. And we kick off in March on Sam River, one of my favorite lakes in the whole world. So that's very exciting. I'm going to spend some time down there. And in case everyone didn't notice, they had a BFL there about a week and a half ago, I think. It was not this past weekend, but the weekend before, and 40 pounds won that event. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Amazing.
Crazy
to fish a lake that's capable of putting those kind of fish out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, man. Last thing, I want to let everybody know, Kelly is going to be the first touring professional that's going to take part in my new little side project called BTL, Music and Memories. And Kelly's going to be the first pro to talk a little bit about some of the music that has really created some memories and discuss some of the musical tastes that KJ has, and really kind of tie it into this very new show that I'm going to have, Kelly. So I appreciate you being the first guy on.
Well, that's going to be pretty interesting. It's a really cool concept, and hey, man, you got to get out there and you got to let it rock every now and then.
Yeah.
So be fun.
Having spent a little bit of time around Kelly in the evening post-tournament settings, maybe after a few cervezas with the grill going.
Yeah.
Kelly always breaks out the music, like never fails.
Oh yeah.
Kelly turns into a DJ and just walks around to various people working on tackle, eating food, whatnot, and just says, "Hey, here's 3 songs you need to listen to for the next 12 minutes."
Yeah, check it out, bro.
So I think you hit a home run with that show. So,
yeah. So not this week, but maybe next week. Obviously, we'll promote it on BassZone.com. Let everybody know here on BTL when we're going to launch that thing, and I'm excited about that. Working on getting some more pros lined up for that show, too. All right, Kelly, man, greatly appreciate you taking time out, and go build another snowman.
Yes, I'll go build another snowman. Appreciate always great talking to you guys, and thank y'all so much for remembering Mark Pack and letting me speak and, kind of about my memories of Mark, and what a great man and a fisherman, family man he was, and part of the fishing community. And appreciate that a bunch. Everybody out there, if y'all can, say a prayer for his family, be much appreciated, and get through this. But the support has been awesome, and thank y'all very much.
All right, Kelly, I will talk to you soon, man. Take care.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, KJ.
See ya. All right.
Day. All right.
There you have it, Kelly Jordan, and him and Mark were super tight.
It's interesting. You listen to what James and Tom and Kelly said, and it seems like a lot of Kelly's style and the way he fishes and stuff. Mark had a big influence on that.
Really did. I can remember in the early 2000s, late 90s, doing media events for different companies, and it seemed like every time I got with Kelly, he always had one of those Lake Fork tackle baits tied on. Didn't matter what it was. He was a huge... In fact, Kelly is one of the main reasons that I got into the whole ring fry thing.
Mm-hmm.
And for us old school guys, that ring fry won a lot of money over a period of time. And it's one of those baits, man, where if it ever made a comeback, the young people like yourself might look at that and go, that catches fish? Yeah, it still catches fish. So
the interesting other thing is, I have, as I get older, more in the industry, and done a little bit of work with Brad Hallman and Big Bite Baits, and seen how bait production goes on. To have the mind, the wherewithal, the ingenuity to come up with new concepts in an industry that's saturated with ideas and concepts and gimmicks and things, but like the tungsten weight and the weed guard and the design on those plastics and stuff, man, it takes a special mind to be able to envision and think outside of the box something that doesn't exist, and then take the time, energy, and have that passion to bring it to fruition and implement it in something that helps everyone catch more fish and enjoy their passion.
Yeah.
So
anyway, man, it was a big loss for the fishing community, especially North Texas, and Mark Pack will definitely be missed. All right, folks, in case you're late to the party here, Kevin Vandam not on the show. He has been rescheduled for next Monday, so you'll get Kevin Vandam. He's going to be back home at Michigan next Monday, and have your KVD questions for next week. Tomorrow, Trevor McKinney, Fishing His Classic. This dude's done it all, dude. High school All-American, collegiate All-American, and now he's going to be fishing the Bassmaster Classic. So looking forward to having him on the show. Then on Wednesday, Greg Hackney makes his first appearance in 2021 to BTL. And then on Thursday, our second day 4 with Frank Scalish. And the amount of emails that I have to respond to based upon Frank's show is endless. So over the next 2-3 days, hopefully I can respond to all those emails. A lot of requests for different topics too on Frank's show.
We'll hit him up with it. I'm sure
the number one
dive
was
into it.
I've already talked to him. The number one. What do you think the number one request
The
was?
Rogue.
Yeah.
Gotta be.
No doubt. And that time is coming up here very, very quickly. So I know he is planning on doing a jerkbait show. And
I mean, dude, I get
really cool stuff.
Plate bait, Rogue, tubes, wild colors. I mean, there's an endless supply of stuff that Frank would know about based on his expertise on where he's located in the country.
Yeah. No, you're right. All right. I want to thank all 3 guests today, James Niggemeyer, Tom Reddington, and finally Kelly Jordan, KJ, for giving us their thoughts on the passing of Mark Pack. So our thoughts are with the Pack family and all the people down there. He will definitely be missed. All right, Matthew, anything else?
That's all I got, Mark.
All right, good show. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, folks. Don't forget the forum for the Marshalls. Be out there on Wednesday, so look for that on BassZone.com. And finally, if you're listening to us on iTunes, please give us a rating, little star things, and please do a review of BTL. It helps us out immensely. Everybody be safe. We're out of here.